Hello, people of the world who may or may not care about what I'm saying right now. Today I'm going to talk about the new iOS5, which will be coming out in fall, I think. And what I'm going to start off with is the notification center. Here it says you get all kinds of notifications on your iOS device. New email, text, friend requests, and more with notifications, blah, 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 blah. It just says briefly that you get a new notification setup. It's sort of like mobile notifier, if you've ever seen that. So they practically sort of copied mobile notifier, and if you don't know what mobile notifier is, it gives you all your notifications, and then it doesn't really disrupt you. If you've seen the iOS 4, all your messages or all your notification disrupts the current app you're in, if you're ever in an app, and that's just crap. So with the notification center in iOS 5, it doesn't disrupt you at all. It just shows you a let's say warning on the top of the screen, but you can choose to stop what you're doing and take a look at that by tapping on it or something like that, or you could just ignore it and it'll go away. And when you're done with whatever you were doing, you could go back to your springboard or home screen, and you can slide down on the status bar, and then you'll see all your missed notifications and all those stuffs like that. So that's practically it. Notification center is just like mobile notifier, and you also get all your notifications on the lock screen. The next new feature in iOS 5 is called iMessage. Basically, what iMessage does is that you can send unlimited message to anyone who has an iPad or an iPhone or an iPod Touch using your own iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch, using Wi-Fi or 3G. So that's pretty much it. You get to send unlimited text to people with iDevices. So that's pretty much a brief explanation of iMessage. The next feature is called Newsstand. Newsstand is practically just, if you have a subscription to a magazine or a newspaper, it organizes all of those newspapers and magazines into Newsstand in, like, little folders and stuff. And you can also purchase or subscribe to magazines or newspapers in the App Store. And then after you've purchased or subscribed, it goes straight to your Newsstand in a Newsstand folder. And I quote unquote whoever wrote this Newsstand article, "It's kind of like having the paper delivered to your front door, only better." I honestly don't know how it's better. It's practically just reading, only you don't flip pages, I guess. You don't get the same feeling, but that's my opinion. I'm just trying to put out my opinion. So that's what Newsstand is. What we've all been waiting for, or what I've been waiting for. I've been trying to use my notes as a to-do list, and now on iOS 5 they have a new app called Reminders. Reminder is like a to-do list for the iDevice. That's practically it. It also gives you due dates and locations, specific locations, and specific times when you need to pick up some groceries or go to a funeral or a birthday party or something like that. And Reminder also works with iCall, Outlook, and iCloud, so changes you make update automatically on all your devices and calendars. That's pretty much it. The feature that we've all mostly predicted. Twitter has integrated to iOS 5. Now you can tweet anywhere when with your iPhone, and you can even add a specific location. And when you take a picture or you go into your photo library, there is now an option to tweet that picture. And yeah, that's pretty much everything that the new tweet integration does. There are, I think, 4 major changes in the camera app in iOS 5. 1, the shutter button, which allows you to take a picture with the volume button, which is practically just snap tap or camera buttons in Cydia. You can check that out. And 2, access from the lock screen. You can open the camera app because there is a icon next to your slider bar, so that's quick access. And 3, you can also edit your pictures in your photo library or when you've captured one picture. And 4, autofocus and auto exposure. Touch and hold to lock focus and exposure. So now you can just pinch in to zoom or spread out to unzoom. So that's practically all the 4 major changes in iOS 5 in the camera app. I'm not quite sure I understand the differences in Safari with the reader, but here's what the article says. I quote unquote person who wrote this. iOS 5 brings even more web browsing features to iPhone, iPad, and iPod Touch. Safari Reader displays web articles, sans ads, or clutter so you can read without distraction. So basically, they say it's a little clearer than before. Reading List lets you save interesting articles to peruse later. I do not know what that word is, per use or something. Anyways, while iCloud keeps you listed updated across all your devices. On iPad, tabbed browsing helps you keep track of multiple web pages and switch between theme with ease. And iOS 5 improves Safari performance in all your iOS devices. Okay, so that's practically it for the overview and the reading list. Practically what the reading list is, if you don't have time or you need to go somewhere but you're not done reading your article or anything you're doing on the internet, you're doing on articles, you can tap on that book-looking icon in the Safari, and then you could tap on Add to Reading List to save it for later when you're not that busy anymore. So that's most of the changes in Safari. PC free. Basically what PC free is that you can sync your iDevice without plugging it into your Mac or your PC. So that's basically Wi-Fi sync. I think that's what they call it in Cydia. So if you're not upgrading to iOS5, you can just download Wi-Fi sync and you'll get the same feature of PC free. So yeah. So those are most of all the features of iOS 5, and I'll give you a link in the description so you guys could read more for pleasure reading if you guys like. In a sort of related note, Apple's also releasing something during the fall as well called iCloud. And it sort of just manages and stores your music into your iDevices wirelessly. That's pretty much what iCloud is. I'll also have a link in the description if you want to pleasure read. But this is just my opinion, but I don't really like reading. In another sort of related thingo, OS X Lion will be released on July for $29.99 in the App Store. There are different new features, I guess you can say. There's multi-touch gestures where you can swipe on a trackpad to see everything running on your Mac. There are these different controls you can do, like if you push forward, you can view mission control. If you swipe to the right, switch between open apps. If you two-finger scroll, you'll scroll through all of them. And you can also tap to zoom, and you can also pinch to zoom, and other gestures. You could just look at them. I'll have another link for your pleasure reading. You guys really like to pleasure read, I could say that. There's also this thing called Mission Control, where it brings you all your full screen apps that you've been doing on your Mac. The dashboard, expose, and spaces. It's sort of like being up on a tree and being able to see what everyone's doing. I guess you can say it's sort of like a Mac says, Apple, not Mac. Apple says it like it's a bird view, but to me it's sort of like a God view. So you could do sort of like that. So yeah, that's what Mission Control is. There's also a new thing called Launchpad. It is a full screen home for all apps on your Mac. Just click the Launchpad icon in your dock, and everything you have open will fade away, and it will be replaced by a full screen display of all your apps. And it's an easy way to arrange your apps the way you want it to be. You can group them together on a folder, you can delete them, and also when you download an app from the Mac App Store, it automatically appears in Launchpad. And I quote unquote, ready to blast off. Yeah, so Launchpad sort of has a rocket in a silver circle sort of thing, so I guess Apple thinks it's cool to say ready to blast off. That's sort of just cheesy. In my opinion, it's just cheesy. They have a new nifty little thing they have. It's called Resume, and it's basically when you reopen it, you start wherever you left off. It's sort of like hibernating in PC. When you hibernate in PC, and then when you open your PC again, everything that you've not closed or were open before are still there. So Resume is sort of like that. In my perspective, it is. So you just resume what you did when you were last there. I guess so you can say that. And there are other different new features like AirDrop or Mail and autosave, and I won't go through all of them because that may take too long. And it even says here on the bottom, over 250 new features, and we all know we can't cover 250 new features in one video, so I guess you guys will just have to pleasure read, or I could make another new video when I'm done summarizing all those 250 into one sentence. Yeah, that's how awesome I am. So when that time comes, I hope you guys will still be alive. I hope I'll still be alive, so yeah. So this has been my video on iOS 5, iCloud, and OS X Lion. And my name is Classified McAwesome, and this has been awesome.